Hi guys, Mark here from Digital Groove Online and welcome back to this week's video. I was asked a question by a friend last week about warping long samples within Ableton Live, particularly vocals, but I thought I would do a quick video on long samples, only this time around we'll talk about tracks. It would be very beneficial when you're DJing inside Ableton Live and you're trying to put a mix together over a, maybe 60-minute session or whatnot. I'm going to show you a quick way to sync those long samples up perfectly so you can get on with doing your DJ mix. But the same thing also applies with vocals. You can do this, you can take this principle that I'm going to show you and you can actually do the same sort of thing with vocals to get it in time. If you're not sure what the original BPM of the vocal was, it's very easy now to take these splice samples and these loop cloud samples, bring them into your project and key in the tempo that the splice or loop cloud had, and it will sync and time the vocals correctly. But if you're doing a remix of a track that was maybe some time ago, or you find an a cappella online and it doesn't have that information available, you can also apply what I'm going to show you here to that vocal to get it to time in the mix as well. But for now, we're going to talk about DJing with inside Ableton Live, and in particular, making a DJ set. I've brought two examples in here. There are two tracks. One was made by a friend and one is made by myself, so we don't get copyright strikes online. So I want to take you through a quick and easy way to sync long tracks from start to finish in a couple of seconds, and you can apply this to 9, 10 or 11 tracks within your session and create a DJ mix and export it out quite quickly, rather than sitting and double clicking inside the waveform and playing around with the transients inside there and trying to use the warp algorithms with inside Ableton. So hopefully this makes sense by the end of the video. We'll get started straight away. So the first thing I will do is inside options and settings, and under record, warp and launch, I think it is, we need to turn off auto warp long samples. I have it turned off by default, and the reason for that is I don't find that Ableton is very good at warping long samples. So anything, if it's a shorter sample like a percussion loop or a drum loop, it does have the short samples turned on, so it will actually do those for me. There we go, loop, warp, short samples. I've got it set to auto, so when I bring those in, they will warp. But the longer ones, I have them turned off, so it doesn't actually, the longer samples here, as you can see, turned off so that it doesn't try to warp that. So the first thing is make sure that's off. If it is turned on and you've already started this and you're trying to just get on with it, just turn the warp off in the corner for now and change that setting later on. So the two tracks I have in here, they are not warped at all whatsoever. And the first thing I want to do is just click on the first track, and we're going to zoom in to the very start of the track and just make sure that the audio is starting straight away. As you can see, there's a little gap of silence here. So I'm going to bring this up just to the very start. I'm going to solo that and let's have a listen to that. So perfect, it's starting right on the kick drum now. So that's the first thing that you want to do with that, is make sure that it's starting right at the very start. The next thing that you want to do is zoom in. I'll just give myself a bit of space there. And if you zoom in, you can sort of see the downbeats are here. That's a, there's a beat there, another beat, another beat. And as you can see below, it is starting to move out of sync the further it goes across that line. So what I want to do then is click my tempo at the top, and I'm going to start bringing that down. It looks like it's too fast at the minute, so I'm going to bring it down until that waveform starts to sit on a beat. So let me see, probably like now. So what's that, 126? So that looks like it's on a beat. That looks like it's on a beat. So does that. So does that. And the more I move along, it's still on the downbeat. So I'm going to zoom out a wee bit here and maybe go towards the end of the track. And we'll have another look as well. And you can see it is actually still sitting on the beat. So what I would do when I have the BPM correct is double click inside the audio file itself, and now we're going to warp that and set it to Complex Pro, because that is the best algorithm for warping tracks in my opinion. So if we hit play now and we turn on the metronome, we can see that that is now perfectly timed. And because we've now warped that, we can change the BPM. So that first track is actually warped perfectly. So let's turn that off and we'll do that again, only with the track below. I'm just going to solo that. The first thing I done was double clicked inside the waveform, inside the audio file, sorry. And we're going to look to see, and this one starts bang on the money on the kick drum at the very, very start. So let's have a listen. Take the metronome off. Okay, that's the second track. And we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to zoom in because it's right at the very start and we didn't have to correct that gap or in the silent space at the very, very start. It starts bang on the money. We're going to have a look at these kick drums below. So there's a kick there. The second one lands on it. The third one's just before the fourth one, and it actually just starts to creep more and more inside that actual downbeat there, as you can see. So that's definitely not in time either. So what I'm going to do now again is I'm going to what you can do is click on the tempo at the top again, and I'm going to move it up and down. And basically what you want to do is, let me see, 1 2 3, there's the fourth beat there, which really should be 1 2 3 4 on this one here, and the fifth one is here on it's just, as you can see, this part here is just poking out. I'm going to try and shift this forward. So let's click on this again, shift it forward, up one, up to 1 2 1, 1 2 2, 1 2 2 actually looks right, about right. So on the downbeat, on the downbeat, on the downbeat, and so on. We'll turn on the metronome. And then we're going to go to the very, very end. And you can hear that's still in time as well, which is really, really good. So we double click inside that waveform, and because we've got it synced to the actual beat grid, we're going to hit warp and set that to Complex Pro 2. Now both of these tracks are warped perfectly. Now it took me a couple of minutes to do those two tracks because I'm breaking it down slowly, hopefully enough for you to understand. But once you get quick enough at it, you can pop 10 or 12 tracks in there and do that in a matter of a minute or two, and that would be a full mix synced up really, really quickly. And then all you have to do is sort of drag them and layer them on top of each other as if it were a DJ mix. So how that would look like, let's get rid of this. Let's say this is the first track here. We're going to drag this up to the end. Yeah, that looks like it lines up perfectly there. Just going to turn it down a little bit. 7 minus 8. We'll turn that on. And I'll turn the metronome off as well, just to show you how quickly we've synced the two of those tracks up. Now you can do other things like EQ, volume automation, and things like that, but we're just going to leave it very bare at the minute just to show you how this syncs up quite easily within your session. So I've just taken that one off and you can hear it syncing. So as you can see, those two tracks synced up perfectly. You know, obviously as a DJ, there would be volume automation there. You would take out some of the lows in one of the tracks as you're bringing it in and perform that mix a little bit better as a DJ. But hopefully in that short video, I was able to show you how we can warp long samples, and hopefully that speeds up your production workflow as well. And if you think about it, you can apply the same principles to acapellas and vocals online. You just bring the same sort of idea, you double click inside the audio and you bring the start marker up to, you know, the first word that is said within the vocal, and then you use your tempo and your click track to basically get that click in sync. And then once it's in sync, we then hit warp, and that should be perfect, and you can drop that right into your track. So hopefully that was insightful for you, and you can try that in your next production, and I will see you again next week.